Hello, welcome to Irons United for another West Ham Confidential. Welcome to the show. I'm going to be discussing a few things about the club, about club statements from the captain Mark Noble and also from David Moyes. I'm going to be looking to talk about the season, if and when it's going to restart, what the current plans are, and also about training regimes as well. So I'm also going to be diving into the chat and answering any questions, or just having a general chit chat about certain things as well, and see how we go. Look, I mean, first of all, I just want to say from everybody here at Irons United as well. It's just me really so far here. I just want to say, look, everybody be safe out there. It's worrying times, changing times. Every minute out there. Today, obviously, or tonight, they've just closed down all the pubs and clubs and everything, restaurants. I would not be surprised if we get even more severe restrictions. If you've got, if you've been tried to be to the shops, the shelves are getting empty. It's very hard. It's starting to get hard to find stuff. So until the supermarkets sort of ramp up a supply and people stop hoarding or stockpiling, or whatever the word is, then we're going to have a few issues out there. The most important thing is that we all stick together as a community, of course, and try and protect those vulnerable people, the elderly especially, and the ones with underlying health conditions, and then just follow the directives. We've got to follow the rules, and but we've also got to have positivity as well. We've got to try and keep some kind of semblance of normality in what we want to do in our daily lives. And I think, we've got to, do our daily stuff, still have our, fun wherever we can. We've got to have, we're going to go stir crazy if we're all locked up on lockdown, if we don't do stuff. So I think it's important for us to talk about football, to talk about, whatever pastime you're into on another channel, whatever. Just do it. Anyway, so I just want to start off tonight's show by asking any of you, did you watch the game tonight against Spurs? Yes. Where Mikel Antonio took on Ryan Sessegnon of Spurs in one of those kind of FIFA-y type whatever type games, the stuff that kids play. Anyway, and basically, it was no change really. We weren't very good on the ball, lacked possession, lacked any sort of creativity going forward, weak at the back, and scored 2 goals. And Fabianski prevented it from being a cricket score with a couple of saves here and there, and they couldn't score penalties. There we go. But they still beat us 2-0. Let's get into the chat and say first, I'm just going to say big thank you for everybody for tuning in, and a big hello to everybody for tuning in as well. So here, Jamie. Hello, Jamie. How are you? Lord Liam. Hello, sir. Neil from Down Under. How are you, mate? How are things down there? Ionizer. How are you? Gary J, hello. Forever blowing bubbles, hello. Jazz, you're here. You made it. Hello, sir. Stel, my man Stel, how are you, mate? And here we go. Abs, Gunner, the Gunner supporter. Hello there. How are you? You're welcome. You're welcome to be here. Anyway. Away, right. Anyway, I'll get into the comments. I can see a couple already, but I suppose somebody's Jazz just said I should be wearing a face mask. Just don't get too close. That's what I say. Don't get too close to the screen. Well, I can get close, couldn't I? But don't get too close to the screen. But no. In all seriousness, now, I think it's important that we do talk about the crazy things like football. Many people would say, we shouldn't be talking about this. We shouldn't be doing anything like this. There's more important things in life. Yes, absolutely right. But our mental well-being, our sanity is just as important. We've got to let the experts tell us what to do to fight this virus, or to protect ourselves from this virus as best we can. But we've got to do a lot for ourselves to keep our spirits up. So, here's my first point then. Now, we know that the leagues have been extended until, well, There are no games before the end of April, 30th of April, but they've extended the season indefinitely. So that means that this could run on past September, October, depending on how things are going. And then next season will either be shortened or will be squashed into doing it. Now, the argument there is that they just want this season to be done. And I'm not sure this indefinite period is the right way to go. Personally, what I would say is find another way to get a scoreline or a result from those games, but don't necessarily have to extend it too far and don't have to make it, because we've got another 9 games to play, whether that's going to be possible. I would say something like, I know it sounds crazy, have a mini tournament of games, just play 45 minutes or 20 minutes each half, or maybe just go really, out left field, as the Americans are saying in baseball parlance, just have penalty shootouts, something like that. What do you think of that? What do you think of that? Because I would rather see a result of the season as soon as possible than just take stock and then start again fresh in August, if that is possible, for the next season. But obviously, this is more speculation here. There is no way of knowing what's going to happen. We don't know how clubs are going to survive here. Not only today, National League teams and lower league teams, grassroots teams they're in serious risk of going under here. We might have the whole fabric of our football completely decimated in this country because of the economic situation. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one for everybody. But if we can start the season again or restart it, regardless of how it's finished, how it's completed, which most of the teams want it to happen, apart from obviously Karen Brady, who said, no, let's void the whole season, right? But that's no good in my opinion. You need to have finality. You need to get this sort of sorted out. And this is not just football. Football is just reflecting the whole of society. We need everything just to keep on going and to restart again. These pubs, clubs, restaurants, cafes, if they manage to stay in any kind of business, they're going to have to try and restart up again when all this clears and we can, start doing our daily stuff again. It's a long time. It's going to be a long time. Look, we're right at the start of this, aren't we? It's a long time before we can actually get some kind of normality back. And that goes for football as well. But here's the interesting thing. How are the teams going to start preparing for this? Now, there's been some speculation, rumors the last couple of days that actually a lot of the teams will be starting from Monday training and in different sorts of training, outdoor drills, that kind of thing, all keeping their distance, all being very sensible about it. But from Monday, they're going to continue training, and then or they're going to start up training again, and then that's going to go to the end of April, and then they're going to make a decision on how they're going to play these games. But for me, actually, what they should do is just say, well, you should be training anyway. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to train together as a squad. But the manager, David Moyes, has already put out a statement saying that, they've already got meal plans and training regimes for all the players to do this stuff at home. But at some point, you've got to factor that you've got to get these players together and they've got to be training as a unit. There's still lots of work that can go behind the scenes by using Skype or whatever, Zoom or whatever other kind of technology to have group tactical talks, that kind of thing. There's still stuff that there's still stuff to there's still stuff to do. There's still tough stuff to do. But when are they going to start training again, and how will they start training? Many believe it could be Monday or the week after. But that was supposed to be the original plan. Now it's gone back to the April 30th. We'll have to wait and see. But the things, you cannot have players just sitting around idle for too long. They need to be active, just like the rest of us. We need to be active. We need to be doing something, and then they need to get their peak performances up. Now, here's the thing: is at what stage are coaches and managing teams going to be happy with their players' peak performance so they can restart games? Because here's the thing, and this is a timing issue now. The timing of trying to get these players back up to a reasonable standard of fitness so that they can go into matches. Otherwise, you're going to have one team of bloaters and another team of, fine specimens, basically. So you need to, have some kind of parity there. Anyway, let me get into the chat here and see what you've been saying. Right, so here we go. Jazz, Stell. No, we are not belittling what's going on at present. Just what we're trying to do here. Okay, so hold on. Who's going on? What's going on here? I'm not sure if I'm getting all the messages here. If you know of any, okay. Forever blowing bubbles. Sorry about that. Right, let me just try to read through all the messages here. Okay. Do I know of any sport that is going on? Interesting. I heard today. No, it's a simple answer. No, there isn't actually any sport going on, as far as I'm aware, in this country. It's pretty much been shutting down. I've been keeping a real close eye on other types of events which I'm involved with on my other major interests, and basically they're just dropping like flies in the sense that lots of events are just being shut down, and that because sporting events, music events, whatever, it's all being shut down. However, in Australia, Neil from Down Under, you might have to confirm this. I believe the Aussie rules season just started, and they actually started having games yesterday or last night, and they're all held behind closed doors. Whether that will continue or not, who knows? But there has been stuff going on. I've been sort of looking around. I mean, I was looking at Eurosport the other day for alpine skiing or some stuff. You kind of get into sports or pastimes that you never really been into before. So, I'm sure there's stuff going on. It'll probably be individual sports or individual issues. But look, you've probably already noticed yourself, anything that you're watching on TV, or certainly if you're hearing it on the radio, a lot of it is nostalgia stuff. A lot of it is just talking about old stuff or repeats of old stuff. So, there's lots of stuff going on there. Here we go. Right. Right. Forever blowing bubbles. So can anyone watch old football games? I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Can anybody, or would I watch any old football games? There are a few classic ones in the past. I wouldn't mind having a little look at. I've got to say, there have been some great ones. Not always involving West Ham, of course, but some obviously. I'd like to see those cup finals again in their entirety. I'd like to see a couple of the cup runs that we had, some of those glorious seasons, some of those great wins. Yeah, I'd like to see that. JPWHUTV. However, and just to let you know that you have the coronavirus. Keep safe, everyone. Well, absolutely right. And best wishes to you, fella. Hope you're feeling well, better soon. Look, we've just got to be mindful, everybody, of how this is affecting and how this is spreading rapidly now throughout everybody. We've just got to adhere to everybody. We've got to make sure that even if we're fit and able, that we are not doing anything that risks anybody else who, if they catch it, they might not be able to fight it. That is the elderly, the sick, the infant. We've just got to make sure that we've got to stick to what the rules, whatever it is, and whoever's ill, JP as well, just be well, and that's all we want. We don't want anybody to be ill. We don't want anybody to get worse, with this illness. But the reality is, we've got to, keep ourselves separate, keep ourselves isolated as best we can, and by the power of media, at least we can maintain some kind of community somewhere so whatever. So we can still talk about stuff. And I think, for me, not only with football but with other interests that I have, it's just a welcome distraction. Because you turn on the news and it's just wall to wall information, repeated news, and it's just we've just got to kind of keep our spirits lifted, but also be very, very aware of the seriousness of this and the reality of what's going on. Here we go. Jazz, China has stitched us over proper. I lost 50% of my pension. Well, yeah, a lot. Yeah, I mean, I won't go into that, but there is huge. I mean, this is what I've been saying in my other writing and videos. This huge economic effect of this is just mind blowing. Good to see that the Prime Minister and the Chancellor have come out today. They want to support the economy and support workers. 80% of the incomes, the salaries. That's good, but whether businesses will survive, we just don't know. If we relate it to football, how many of these clubs are going to survive? And lots of criticism has been already leveled at a lot of the lower league teams for spending beyond their means and paying players too much. How many players are going to accept a drop in wages to find a way to help these lower league teams, these grassroots teams, so that leagues can survive? How many? I suppose it's not fair to expect players to hand over their cash that they've earned, but there's certainly a lot of money in the Premier League and in the EFL, certainly in the Championship, but certainly in the Premier League, to be able to help out lower leagues. I mean, it was an interesting point that that has been made, is that actually the money to save football in this country, in terms of all the lower league teams and all grassroots football, actually that money is already within the footballing slush fund, if you know what I mean. So people are already saying, well, actually, we don't need government handouts for this. What you need is the Premier League, the TV money, to actually just trickle down and just be given, and just to pay off debts. You've got lower league teams, League One and Two, National League and below, that for 30 or 40 million pounds in total, maybe a little bit more, 50 million pounds in total, would see everybody clear, would enable them to stay, keep everybody's jobs, keep the clubs running, and so on and so forth. And all that money is just sloshing around, in the Premier League. So it could be done. It could be done. Here we go. Right, so I'm way beyond the messages here. I'll try to go as best I can. Look, there's lots of forever blowing bubbles. I've heard of players refusing to play because wife has given birth, like I think, and didn't some Chelsea player refuse to go to Israel to play because of fear of his safety? Look, I think the problem is here. It's going to be convincing all the players, all the staff, the playing staff, the coaching staff, that it's safe to return. And then there's going to be players and their families. They're going to be having this debate all the time. The only way it's going to work is if you have vulnerable people within your squad, members of family members, either they self-isolate from the player, or the player is then excluded from the squad until this passes over. If we want any kind of normality to resume at the earliest possible opportunity, which has the least detrimental effect on the economy, on the football economy, there has to be a way. There has to be a way to get things going again. I want to be positive about it. But at the same time, I have to temper that enthusiasm by making sure that we are all doing the right thing. We are following the advice, and we are doing everything sensibly. But As I said before, we can't be paralyzed by this indefinitely. We need to start doing something at some point. At some point, not right now, of course, but at some point. Um, Look, can players, give a bit of their money? No, there's so many good things already happening in the footballing community, in society already. People are helping each other out. Clubs are, giving money to local NHS COVID wards campaigns. They're helping out in their community as well. Some of these clubs don't even have a lot of money themselves. They may not even have the funds to survive themselves, but they are still trying to help. And we could do that. Uh, we could do that. We could do that. But Stel, I've just seen your message here. It says it's really a matter of your health or your income. Matter. Well, it's an interesting one because you'd always say your health and your well-being is the most important thing, but actually your income and your ability to be able to look after yourself and to look after the services that protect you is equally important in the long run. It's very interesting that we're talking about the government today. They were talking about the protection or the support of key workers. Well, my argument is actually, whilst there are immediate key workers, let's say in the emergency services and the NHS and the support of the NHS, you could argue that everybody in society is a key worker because everybody needs to fulfill some kind of role, and that role is to pay for things, buy things, sell things, pay your taxes, all that kind of stuff. It's just snowballs, isn't it? Yeah, it's very hard, even for me right now, to be talking about football. It's very hard to rationalize this and say that we've got to find some way of getting together and doing stuff. But at the same time, we've got to think forward, we've got to think ahead, and we've got to think of what's going on soon. On that note about key workers, I just want to read what Mark Noble said on this club statement. He said, "I just want to take off. I just want to say I take my hat off to the doctors, the nurses, and everyone else who works in the NHS, and I hope the government and the people appreciate what they do for us." Well, I'm sure there's overwhelming support there. "These are strange and worrying times for everyone." Absolutely, said the skipper. "We're all living from day to day as the situation unfolds, and we're also way out of our comfort zones as we try to adjust. One thing this dreadful virus has brought home to me is that the health of my family is more important than anything else in this life." Absolutely true. Our domestic football has been suspended until the end of April now, but beyond that, there's nothing definite. Yeah, we don't know what's going to go on here. Everything's up in the air, but me wondering about when and how we'll be training means little, really, up against the people in this country who are, like the NHS workers, on the front line every day, or a cab driver who is worrying about where his next fare is coming from. Yeah, absolutely right. And he goes on to say, and this is the key point for me: we need to help the elderly, the vulnerable, and the sick of our society, and help minimize the effects of this illness. That's like the immediate action. That's what we need to do. And possibly we needed to sort of do this earlier, to be more robust with our what we needed to do. He goes on, he said, "I can only try to imagine what it's like at the moment for an elderly person who lives on their own. We all need to chip in and help." Absolutely right. And this is what the big thing is. It's about the mental pressures that people will be under here, and the stress and everything like that. But also, anybody's living on their own, especially the vulnerable and the elderly, so on and so forth. You know, they're going to be frightened. They're going to need help. They're going to need support as well. What really concerns me far more than our train regime, though, are people, their health, and their jobs. With that in mind, I'm going to donate the fees of my evening standing columns this season to the Newham Food Bank, which is really good. And all food banks around the country, deserve our support as well. A fantastic charity helping to feed the most vulnerable and at-risk people in East London. But obviously, if we extend that for all food banks all around the country, that's obviously a good thing here. Wise words and good words there from our captain. I'm sure you would agree. Look, it's I what can you say at a time like this? What can you say that will, appease everyone? We know that we're just playing a waiting game. We know that we're hoping that whatever the government has in store for us, whatever the experts are saying, to try and find a way to protect us the most, we have to stick to that. But the frontline emergency workers, the hospital staff, in all their guises, they need our support as well. But we can't really just be overwhelming that system with any little thing that we have. So we need to protect ourselves as best as we can, not only from this virus, but also causing ourselves harm or injury from just doing stupid things as well. Anything that we can relieve the pressure on the NHS. And the whole point is that they just want to get it to summer time as best as they can, so that every other illness really is not clogging up the hospital as well from the winter pressures, as they like to call it. Mostly they still don't know whether the virus will be affected by the heat or not, because some other viruses are affected by the heat, in that you don't really get flu-like symptoms most more prevalently in the winter. So they're hoping for that, but there's a lot of misinformation going on around there. So just all I can say is just take care of yourselves. Keep yourselves apart. Keep yourself all covered up. All that kind of stuff. And that's all we can do. That's all we can do. But there's lots of stuff that we could be talking about, and I'd much rather be talking about football and slated off Moyes' decisions and his substitutions. Slating off Anderson for not producing, Lanzini for being run around like a zombie. Ogbonna for just being Ogbonna. Diop for just making some calamitous mistakes. Praying that we never lose Fabianski with injury again, because he saves us all the time. I want to be talking about that. But isn't it weird that I miss slating Moyes and I miss slating the players? I wish I could do a grumble show. Obviously, I always hope I do an oil show, but I wish I could do a grumble show for you. But obviously, we've got nothing. I suppose, in perspective, in relative terms, we've got nothing to grumble about, have we? We're just kind of in this limbo, aren't we? We're just waiting for the season to start. Any news that comes out, I'd be. I mean, I suppose I'm going to put this out there, and I'll leave it there, and I'll just monitor the chat and see what comes out of it. Right. In terms of football economy and West Ham, right? Many would say, well, could they survive? Are we going to survive? Any club, could they survive as this goes on and on and on? Because the drop in revenue and all that kind of stuff. Some clubs, even the Premier League clubs and also the Championship, will start to suffer, no doubt, the longer this goes on, right? Is it time that we are thankful? I can't believe I'm about to say this, that Gold, Sullivan and Brady did take us to the London Stadium, that we're only paying £2.5 million a year in total for the whole stadium, as opposed to having a whole stadium and the overheads there. Let me know what you think. Because of the minimal amount that we pay there, that could be one of the things that keeps us in good stead, whereas other teams might be in real serious trouble the longer this goes on. Now, hopefully, this cuts it back a little bit, but it's hopefully the season will be back on track, and this sort of forced rest, if you like, is short as possible. But the longer it goes on, it's going to affect all teams. It's going to affect all clubs, as we know. But it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one. But should we be thanking them? Should we be thanking them, for at least having our club in some kind of better financial footing than any other club? I'm not sure. I'm not sure I can do that. I'm still not sure I could do that, to be honest with you. I don't know. I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It's a difficult one because you'd want to think that actually the biggest thing is the wage bill. Obviously, we pay a lot of bit wages. The other thing that obviously is coming out of this coronavirus, thing, and the way it's affecting all aspects of society and obviously individuals and all that. But if we carry on talking about football, is actually the amount of money that is being paid to individuals, to players, not only in the higher leagues, the Championship or the Premier League, but also in the lower leagues. And they're talking about real management of teams and how much money is just being thrown in when it shouldn't really be thrown in. The players really need to be earning all this amount of money. And where does that money go? What happens to that money afterwards? Is any good ever done from it? And whilst there are players that are doing great things, and I'm sure there are players that want to do more. You know, you've got to ask yourself: is it their responsibility to use their money? Is it the club's responsibility? It comes down to whether you, as an individual, want to do it. I know there are lots of players out there that are doing great stuff and trying to help out as best they can. But I'm sure there are lots of others who are not, and that's what we need to do. We need to sort this out. But anyway, look, it'd be interesting to see how West Ham, as a club, as our club, how they fare in the next few months financially. What is happening behind the scenes? Have people, lost their jobs? And let's not forget, other teams are still paying their game staff, the match day staff, all the stewards, all the, or whatever, people serving there. Some haven't. Some have had to let them go, but some are. Some clubs are being very forceful in that. Though, yeah, we're going to just keep on paying everybody because we've got the money. However, West Ham don't do that. We don't pay anybody. So we only pay the stadium, for 2.5 million, 3 million a year, whatever. We don't pay for anybody. So all those stewards and all the people who work there, that's not our responsibility. So you got to feel for those people. I wonder what the stadium owners at LDC 20 or whatever they are now, I wonder how many people they're paying. I wonder if they're showing the same commitment to that. I mean, this is an interesting thing now. We love to slate everybody at the stadium as well. But all those people, they are just workers. They're just working there. They're, just trying to provide a service to us, whether we like it or not. They are there. But how many of those jobs are going to be affected, and how many people are going to lose a lot of money there? It's a difficult time for all. But say the club can see themselves quite fortunate as still not having to pay a lot. I did note on the club website today as well. Let me just put this out there. Here we go. Yeah, so the store, the club's shop, the store and ticket office is closed until further notice. The online shop is still open. So just want to, unless you didn't hear about this, I just want to read this statement as well. Season tickets, general admission match tickets, and Club London tickets will be valid for the rearranged fixtures with Wolverhampton Wanderers, Chelsea, and Burnley at London Stadium. And you would imagine all the other matches as well that have not yet been postponed because we haven't got to that point in the season. But we would imagine that. Tickets purchased by the travelling Claret and Blue Army for the trip to Tottenham Hotspur will also be valid for the rescheduled match. I assume then if any other clubs matches there wouldn't be any tickets have been purchased, so there would be nothing to be rescheduled there. Obviously, tickets aren't being refunded, or season tickets being refunded, whatever. There has been talk about season tickets rolling over till next season and having some kind of discount. but whether our club will do that, who knows? Every club is acting in a slightly different way, and every club is being more charitable than others, let's say. I wouldn't say ours has been overly charitable at this stage. And it is a club that you would imagine that could afford to be charitable, especially, as I say, we don't have the overheads of the stadium as well. And they're saying here, everyone at the club is pulling together as this unprecedented time, and our thoughts and wishes are with all our supporters, particularly those affected by COVID-19 and those older and more vulnerable members of our community. Please continue to look after yourselves and for each other. Well, you're absolutely right. That's all we can do. But look, will the club offer any concessions to us? Will the club offer any kind of refund? I suppose the other key thing is, would you accept it? Would you take any money back from the club? I'm not sure I would in that respect, because the money's gone. In that, so you paid your season ticket. Can the games be replayed? Will they be replayed? Here's the interesting thing: if they're still to be played behind closed doors, which I think actually that's the only way they should be played. I don't think we as a fan base should be allowed to go to these games, depending on when they're played, of course. But if we're trying to get the season over and done with as soon as possible, just play them behind closed doors. But many people say, well, that's not right. It's not right for football. But let's face it. The game of football is not predicated on whether you have fans actually watching the game, around there. Because grassroots football, any kind of football, is just about what goes on the pitch. The fan base is part of it, but it's also an extra. Now, we get used to having big fans there, big fan bases there, but it's not what the game is. But for us, it's the experience, and for the players, it is as well. But it's not the game. So I still think those games should be played behind closed doors. It will protect the majority of the fan base, and it will also protect the players to a certain degree as well. There'll be less. Onus to protect the whole environment. It'll be a lot more manageable. But here's the thing. How will those games be televised? How will we receive that? Be able to watch the game? So I would say if they're not going to be televised for free, this is the key thing. For free, you shouldn't have to pay for this. Okay. For free, if they're not televised for free on normal TV, because there's so many different games, isn't there? They should follow what a lot of the championships clubs do and other teams do. They have that iFollow system where they have a few cameras at the stadium, and they film the whole game, and they live stream it via this iFollow system, which is basically a viewing platform on your computer, so you could actually watch it. I think that we should do that. Should do that. But anyway, look, I've been going on for nearly 40 minutes here. I mean, I just wanted to discuss that with you, really. Discuss about some of the things that have been going on at the club. Say, they want to resume training, whether they will or not, or when they will or not. We're not quite sure. Moyes has got a plan of training for the players at their homes and their meals. So they're trying to stick to it as best they can. Obviously, all the clubs have voted against Karen Brady, again, in terms of voiding the season. That everybody wants to see the season through. Everything's been delayed indefinitely. We'll just have to see how it goes. I mean, the Euros are being pushed back. What happens with the Europa League, Champions League? Who knows? Who knows what's going to go on there? But I think it's quite right that everything else is pushed back, with the domestic leagues carrying on. But we've got to think about the integrity of football, but the infrastructure of football and how it is built up, not at the very top. Football is not about what goes on at the very top of the league. system. It's actually what is the foundation, what happens from the grassroots, and how it comes up through the ranks. And if we don't protect the foundation, then just like the house of cards, it will all come crashing down. And we need to protect that. We need to boost that. And the money to do that is already within football. There is a big slush fund there. It is doable. Whether we say to all the players, all the people in the say, right, okay, you're going to give 10% of your wages to that. Clubs, you're going to give 5% of your your budget, let's say, to donate that, whatever it is. Could we, could that be done to save the clubs? Could that be a way to get the ball rolling again? Could that be a way to protect all the clubs, protect all the players and their families, and and everybody else, not just the players, but everybody associated with clubs as well? Could we find a way to finish these games for the season? Could it be before the end of April? Personally, I think, if I'm not saying before the end of April, but actually on April 30th, could they start? Could they actually? No, I don't want to get to the end of April and say, right, you can play your games now, and then all the clubs say, right, well, we need another 3 or 4 weeks now to get the players back up to speed. No, that shouldn't be the case. They should be ready to go at the earliest convenience at the 30th of April, ready to go. Now, if that means that they have to play shorter games or have some kind of tournament, personally, I'd be happy with that. And what I'd be saying to David Moyes to say, right, we've got to cover all eventualities. I'll tell you what, get your players practicing penalty shootouts. You could practice penalties all day, couldn't you? Because you keep everybody as distant. There's no contact with that, and in many ways that'd be the best way to resolve it, because you keep your social distancing. The players are no contact. There's you're keeping lots of players away from each other, and there is a result at the end of it. And you could do different forms of it. I don't know. These are strange times we're living in right now, of course. But I'm sure there'll be a way to get a result, and that's what we want. Right, here we go. Shall I just quickly go through some of these? I know I've been rabbiting on for a long time, and I'm sorry I've missed out a lot of your chats here. Okay, well, obviously you're talking amongst yourself, which is really good. Yeah, okay. West Ham Cyber Leader, here we go. If they play behind closed doors, will they show the game on TVs outside the stadium? Well, actually, I think that'd be the worst thing that they could do. The whole point is if they're playing it behind closed doors, they don't want people to congregate next to each other. That's the whole point. So they shouldn't do that. They should not do that. They should not. You would watch this at your home, away from people. You would have free streaming or whatever onto your TVs or into your computers or whatever. That's it. Terence Crane, us fans need to get Karen Brady out. She's toxic. Well, yeah, okay, but we can shelve that debate for another day. I'm sure. I don't think we need to talk about that right now, about Gold, Sullivan and Brady. Whilst that's still an ongoing issue, it is one of those things that we need to focus on the more important things in life right now, of course, and also just getting things back on track. Where are we going? Here we go. Play them after 12 p.m. and most of us are in bed. Yeah. Well, that's not a bad idea, actually. That's not a bad idea. You could easily have games that go on in the middle of the night. That's a good idea, actually. I never thought of that. And so there'd be hardly anybody about. They could just get it done, and that's a good idea. Yeah, AM. That's right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, AM. AM. Yes, I know you said PM, but I meant AM. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, in the middle of the night. Yeah, midnight. Yeah, why not? Go for it. In fact, I'd quite enjoy a midnight game. It's almost like going to midnight mass or a midnight, not midnight mass. What I'm on about, midnight show at the at the pictures. Something like that. But there we go. Anyway, who's this Irons? Who's Irons United? Who says? Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what's going on. Right. Anyway, look, just to say, everybody, I just want to say that the club have a plan. All the clubs have a plan of what's going to go on in the future. It's what they're allowed to do. It's what they will be allowed to do by the authorities. But there's no doubt that the clubs in the higher leagues are going to fare a lot better than all those clubs in the lower leagues. At the end of this, we're going to see which businesses, which clubs have survived. We just don't know, and society is going to change forever. I'm sure. This is going to be one of those things that people are going to be talking about for decades to come. How this virus took over the globe and how it has affected everything in society, every waking minute of our lives, and what the death toll is, and how lives have changed forever. We've got to put things in perspective. We've got to put things in perspective, and we've got to be positive. We've got to have that spirit just to keep on fighting on, because it's not as if that in the whole of time itself that society hasn't had bad moments. This is one of those bad moments. We've got to stick together and not be stupid and selfish and everything. We've got to support each other. But anyway, I will leave it with that. But here we go. Hold on. Let me just go. Right, I don't know what's going on there. Right. Okay. Anyway, I'm just gonna leave it at that. But say, hopefully, training will start soon. Once the players find a way to do it, they got to keep themselves fit. The end of April, I suppose it is going to be the next games. We're going to be trying to bring you more stuff on the channel as best we can, more discussion topics. Myself, Stow, Anthony, Anton, and we're going to be, with some of the other guys as well. We're going to be talking about old stuff, new stuff. I'm going to be trying to come on as much as I can, and we're going to have a bit of fun with it as well. But still trying to be more of a community channel for you. Still, if anybody needs any support, you want to talk about something, if you want to come on the channel and talk about something, you're more than welcome. So we're going to do that. Stel's going to keep up with his weekly show on a Sunday. I'm still going to do my Monday show as best I can, and then any other shows that I can, as well as Anton. We're still going to be here. We're still going to be talking to you and offering some kind of light relief for that. But we will be here. We will be here, and hopefully dreaming of the days where I can slate off Moyes and every other player for not playing the way I think they should be playing, and maybe the way that you should be that you think they should be playing as well. But anyway, look, cheers all. Be safe out there. Protect yourselves. Isolate yourselves. Just think about this and think about protecting all the people out there, and let's just give the NHS a chance and the government a chance to hopefully sort this out. All I can say. But anyway, thanks all, and I will see you on the next video. Please like, share, subscribe, that bell thing. If you click the bell next to the subscribe button, what will happen is that anytime we do a live show, even though you don't know we're coming on, it will flash up on your notifications on your phone, let's say, and you will notice that, okay, we're coming on live, so you can see us, or you'll get an email or stuff like that. So it's probably worth just clicking that bell, so you'll always know exactly when we're going to do a show as well. Right, so I'm not going to say everybody in the chat, but everybody in the chat, thanks for joining in. Thanks for all your comments. And wherever you are in the world, be safe, be happy, and up the hammers. Ta-ra now.